Hello people. Wait a minute. Oh, wrong way. I will get the hang of this. Hello people, I'm just in York city centre and I'll turn this around just now because it's a bit far. What's that you got there? Is that the lighthouse?
The light, yeah.
The light, sorry. The light, yes please. There's it again.
I'm just wondering if these police would like our papers. They'll be asking for our papers soon, won't they?
Well, that's the thing, isn't
Like
it?
this.
Well, this is the thing. It's the only paper that's got the truth in it, isn't it?
Exactly.
A lot of people walking past here thinking these people are stupid, but you know, don't put remembrance on the back.
Yeah,
They're trying to put it right on my back. I'm here with Keith and Michael today in York.
hey, go kid, you alright?
Right, let me up there, buddy. Right, sorry. Hello, people. Oh, hang on. Hello, Rob. Babs. Just in York Centre at the moment. There's Bedford Bandit over there, look. Yeah? Hiya! How's that baby of yours? Oh, good. Sending love and light.
It's looking alright, it's loading up.
Oh, there's a surprise. There's a surprise.
Still early.
People in the pub. Yeah.
Yeah, it's doing alright. It was 6. Is it £12.6? It's got the £2.2 now.
Oh, this is little art.
His paid scans come back alright. It's got a little bit of heart, but they're not too worried. Just chat sort of about it. So they put comparison more than that. People clearly, crazy, I've never seen one £1 an ounce.
You're going cycle, so
Yeah, I never knew that. I never knew that as an 8% chance of having kids.
Right.
I didn't know that. Yeah, she's just crying overnight.
It's hard, isn't it? Should be worrying.
They're nice, the staff there, yeah. But the thing is, this is what I'm saying, it's disgusting now. She's not getting no help, she's got to feed herself, you know. So we went out to do shopping, we didn't know the shopping is good. That's all. I'm doing NHS here, they're coming here. Every day getting fancy hotels.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can't even get a good hotel now.
What they're doing in Belarus? They're putting them in a plane and sending them home. I know, I saw that, yeah.
They stormed it and they were telling it. I think
In fact, I don't think they're probably doing any more protests.
83, what?
I
They're all in their 60s and 70s, 20 years old. What is going on? Why have them lot girls have to work 20 years later to cover that? Can't be dragged through.
No, it's terrible.
What people don't understand is these kiddies are never going to have a normal life again. You know, they could be young, they meet a nice chappy or fix a girl, and there's always a time to stop. They're never going to be right. And people don't look at it like that. We do, not normal people don't.
Because they don't want to know, it's too hard for them
So
to
that
learn.
word again, doesn't it? No empathy in it.
Yeah.
At the top as well.
It doesn't affect me, so I'm not interested.
Exactly. Until they start coming to movements like this, they'll never have it. They'll never know what's going on. Yeah, great. The new party in this constitution.
Alright.
That's the new party anyways. That's what the whole thing now. That's it. Constitution. We are doing what it says on the thing. No party in this country has supported all Edinburgh's laws and rules. That is the only party.
Who's doing that?
Graham Moore.
Oh, Graham Moore?
Yeah. Rumble, 8 o'clock every night.
Right.
8 well, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock. Every night, Monday to Friday, yeah. Watch it on Rumble. Because they can't do it on YouTube because it's what he says and they block him.
People need to stand as,
yeah, well, he's doing it.
independent.
Would you do an election? Would you stand? Yo, I would have stand in an election, mate. You don't have to do politics. It's not politics. You want politics, you don't want politics.
No, no. You don't want now it's got alongside these other groups as well, and that's why I'm saying if you don't want to belong to a party, stand up for your own to get the tyrannous. I mean, I don't know if you saw there was
that's on the thing like but they still end up. It's not like he might have the thing that runs at top. This is why I was like because there's still conduct with the bit. You need to get away from them.
Well,
no matter who, you need to distance them from them totally.
There was a girl a woman stood up in Parliament the other day. She was an Asian girl actually, and she was saying about the corruption within the politicians and all having business accounts, like they're getting backhanders off everybody, and it's like they've got second jobs in here, and they've got corporations giving them high paid jobs and that. They're all on a fortune. And so Zaina got in touch with me about the police in Manchester, what they did to her. I've like passed her the video on because we need people like that on the inside that are going to stand up against them. I know she may not get very far up the tree, but do you know what? If she's willing to stand there and go, you're all corrupt, this needs to stop, then good on her. Do you know what I mean? But I must find her name out and find out who it is because.
And you know what? They get her because Graham wants to talk to her. Do you know? He likes to speak to people like because we're building. They know it as well. What we've got to say, I'm going to try to make one thing. You can't touch it, mate. You can't touch it.
Big's coming next year.
They know, right? They know when we was at party, see, because Graham went with English study press and that. They're not saying that they don't care. When we did the by-election back in Spain, they did support us. There's Teresa from Bradford, yes, she's own teacher as well. She's done everything. She's proper like the Yorkshire lass. And no one did nothing to help her. We didn't get no help.
Yeah.
We didn't get no help.
Hello, Rose P and BB Sniper afternoon. I'm here with Bradford Bandits. Can we all send love and hugs to his little grandson? Because
Little Archie.
Little Archie. He's only £2 2 ounces at the moment, but he's getting stronger.
He's doing all right.
So we need to send love and hugs out to him.
So,
put him in your prayers. He's in
that.
Hull.
Yeah, thank you for everyone's prayers.
And his daughter's having to be there on her own, miles and miles away from home. So if you're in Hull and you need a hospital, go down and give us some support and ask for Ellie Mae, mother of Archie, and take her some little treats because she's going to need them. Bless her heart's breaking over there. So yeah, anybody in Hull, hear me out, and I will get the hang of this gimbal app, I promise. At some point in my life.
You too.
I know, I'm like that.
Not like that, what dog got.
Find your passion.
You cough when I put on live in his seat, dog coming down it.
Throwing it down for me.
It's not mine, honestly, it's not.
I know. Jackie. Mighty Michael. Oh, really?
There's Mark there.
Mark's oh yeah. Yeah. That the guy that caused us problems in Sunderland a few years ago with the police. He wears a big yellow jacket. When we were up in Scotland, him and his cronies turned up there, and they were antagonising the police. So I went up and I caught him and he took it back. It's apparently here now.
Yeah. Playing the game, innit?
Yeah, he's going to cause trouble, I bet you. But he antagonises the police to get any trouble today, people. And this will be this guy in the yellow jacket that was caused problems for us in Sunderland, and he was trying it in Glasgow at a kids in Denmark.
Child abuse.
We need to get something done about it. Definitely.
They're well scared.
What's that? Focus on that. It's not fun. It's unvaccinated, that says people. A little yellow band with unvaccinated on. There you go, that from. I'll have one of those. Put one on my wrist. There you go. Look, unvaccinated and proud. I'm proud. I missed that. Oh yeah, let me just there. There you go, it's focused. That's Graham Moore, he was the English Danny Dragon, yeah, and he's got the English Constitution Party.
It's the way forward, and this is it. We're going to take our country back.
Research. There you go, and that was at 11:22 minutes in on the line. I'm going to go down and see if I can talk to Matt. Alright, I'll see you in a bit.
Everything that we are, everything that we're doing, everything that we are going to do, yes? I feel the energy today and I feel the love. The first thing I want to speak to you today about these gatherings and about these marches. Some of you may know who I am, you might know of Event 202. We work with a lot of other groups to collaborate and bring forward initiatives to promote, to support, to cheer on, to guard our own people and give our people a platform. One of the things that I'm involved in quite heavily are the monthly marches down in London at the end of every month. Who's been on one of those marches? Yes! Great, awesome. Now what I want to do is I want to bring a bit of encouragement for you today. I want to give you a bit of a bigger perspective about what we're in, what we're involved in and why we're doing this. So the marches in London are absolutely vital. I hear people mocking, slandering, tearing down, saying negative comments, complaining, and I tell you what, you are not on our side if that's what's coming out of your mouth and what are in your thoughts. Because even on the last march that we were on in October, a lady came up to me at the end and she said, "It's my first one. I've never been to any of these marches before." So let me tell you, these marches are an entry point, right? For a lot of people who are just waking up now. We need those marches because they give visibility. It shows them that there is a growing dissent. It is important, as I say, this isn't going to just shut down and stop just because a few of us gather on a Saturday. We might be doing this for the rest of our lives. You have to think about that, right? So the marches are important. I've said this on another talk before and I'll say it again. There's a lady in America, Erica Chenoweth, she works for the Harvard University. She did an analysis of all the resistant movements from the 1900s right up until today's time. And what she found from her studies is that 2/3 of the resistant movements, so those movements that are full of violence and anger and warfare, they are less likely, actually only 1/3, to make an impact as those that come with love, peace and unity, right? So we don't have to war, that's what that tells me. We don't have to have bloodshed, that's what it tells me. That we can still make an impact with peace in our hearts, right? 3.5% of any nation to truly make a difference. Tell me, what's 3.5% of 68 million? I'm not a mathematician, but I tell you it's 2.3 million. We're almost there! Listen, we had almost 1 million people at the march in London. You need to get your ass to London every month. Make it a routine. You do your monthly, weekly activities in town. You gather the people, you wake people up out of their sleeping conscious into reality and you bring them to London. 3.5%. We're there. Because for every person that's at those marches in London, I guarantee you there are another 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 that couldn't make it, couldn't be bothered to make it. We're almost there, folks. I want to encourage you. Keep coming to those marches if you can. Don't complain about them. If you don't want to go and you're full of apathy because you don't think it makes a difference, you're on the wrong team. You need to be encouraging others to go. Even if it's not for you, tell someone else to go. They're important, they're vital. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is this world we're living in. I've only been given 5 minutes, so make sure you... Okay. For those of you who have, you've woken up, you notice, we live in a world of duality. You look around you, you see night, day, black, white, young, old, big, small, left, right, up, down, good, evil. Everything has a duality to it. You've all been given the gift of seeing the other side for what it truly is. But friends, we've been conformed by the world and we've been deceived by an enemy. We've taken authority as truth instead of truth for authority. They have unlimited resource and funding. They've got strategic leadership and they've had decades, if not centuries, to get their master plan together. I ask you, what have we got? I love the answers. Love the forces at play. We are being awakened into our true calling and purpose. Everything you've been through your whole life, every tear, every scar, every relationship, every knockback, every trial is for now. I'm telling you, nothing is wasted. There is a calling on your life. You are marked for this moment. You are sealed for this moment, this time. The future's ours, friends. It's not theirs. Let me tell you, the scripture says, the righteous are as bold as lions. Listen, you're all righteous people. Why? Because you're standing on the right side of God. That means you're righteous. Give me a roar! We've got to use this energy in a good way. We've got to stop being negative. We've got to stop tearing down and instead build up, encourage, equip, inspire. If you don't do those things, you're not on our side. You are playing into the spiritual forces of darkness. I'll leave it on that note. This is our time. This is our future. You are marked for this moment. Bless you.
And things, so I'm going to
Right guys, you probably all know what's going on in Australia right at the moment and across the world. This flag here is the Aboriginal flag of Australia. They are getting taken out of their homes, out of their villages, put in internment camps and injected with poison against their will. That is happening everywhere and it must stop, and today we stand with these people as one human beings. You will not see this on the BBC. They were covering it all up. Spread this word everywhere you possibly can. We have to stand up to the next level. 2 years ago I was afraid to speak out when I knew all this was bullshit. But I did. And everyone has to speak out, regardless of the consequences. We haven't got a choice. Gareth? Yeah. Thanks for coming, my brother.
David Aikson, hi.
Hello everyone. Is anyone else starting to think it's probably not 3 weeks to flatten the curve? 3 weeks. When the people gave the government 3 weeks, it emboldened them, it told them that it was theirs to take. And ever since, they've just taken more and more and more and more and more. And now here we are, nearly 2 years later. The answer's dead simple, in my view, it's dead simple. From the beginning, non-violent, non-cooperation. If they'd gone to the business owners, if they'd gone to the business owners and said, we're shutting down your business, and they'd gone, no, you're all right, that would have been the end of it. But unfortunately, it needed to happen en masse, and it didn't, because for the last decade at least, if not more, there's been a concerted effort to create divides between all of us, between all demographics that make up the population. Can't hear me? Sorry, I don't have much control over that. Okay, so those divides made people tribal, and people won't step outside their tribe. I know people in the US that are Democrats, they're pro-facers, but they put a mask on because they didn't want their fellow Democrats to think they supported Trump. So they didn't. Now you've really got me. So they did something against their will that they knew was wrong, they didn't want to do, but they didn't want to be judged, and they didn't want to step outside their tribe, which is madness to me. How COVID has become a political thing. That's insanity. Surely it's a virus, it's killing everyone, we can all see it. It's not tribal between left and right. I can't imagine in the Second World War, people from one side of politics standing in the street going, I don't even believe in bombs. Wouldn't that muddy? Yeah, that's what we've got here, and it's always been insane to me. But one portion of society told you from the beginning it wasn't 3 weeks to flatten the curve. It wasn't just an app on your phone to slow the spread. It wasn't just a bit of cloth across your face for 10 minutes in Asda until the R number. What's an R number? Until that had gone. It wasn't just until the vulnerable were double jabbed. These people told everyone that they were coming for the kids, that it was about bringing in a vaccine passport system as a precursor to a social credit system like the one we have in China. But people looked the other way, and they kept their heads down and they rolled up their sleeves. They were watching a car accident in slow motion, while these people were leaning out the window laughing, shouting, "Oi, lizard." Never gets old, that one. Now the government and its lapdog media is telling you to hate those people. It's telling you to accept their deletion from society. It's telling you to accept segregation as if Jim Crow was just misunderstood. And if people want to know what they would have done in Germany in the 1930s when they heard the jackboots coming for their neighbour, now's the time they'd find out exactly what they would have done back then. Absolutely nothing, a lot of people. But people are waking up, and I'm proper encouraged by that. Proper encouraged by that. Now, this Christmas for me is the most important Christmas in history. Because if we go along with what they want for us this Christmas, what we're doing is we're saying that's what we want forever. And that's what we want for our kids and for our children's kids. If we go along with it this year, then we will embolden them even more. Not our children. Not our children, no. No, not our children. This is the hill for us here. If we're not willing to die on this hill, there's no hill left for us. There isn't, because if that social credit system comes in, that controls everything. And that's what all this was about. The government didn't waste millions setting up a failed track and trace infrastructure. They spent millions sorry mate? Billions?
Billions of our money, not their money, our money.
What's millions and billions among friends? They spent billions setting up a vaccine passport infrastructure under the cloak of track and trace. And it's so ball-achingly obvious. But if we go along with that, that's what we have. Our children will just about remember probably what freedom was like. Our children's children will never remember it. They won't know what it is. So now is the point we need to stand up. And on the subject of dying on hills, there'll be people out there, probably people who are walking past, doing the shopping, shaking their heads at us, that this isn't their hill to die on, because they're pro-jab, they're pro-mask, they're pro-lockdown, they're pro-narrative. But remember this, you're only one missed booster away from being an anti-vaxxer, mate. That's all it takes. You've got your compliance reward for now. For now. But you're going to have to carry on doing this every 6 months for God knows how long. Your first 10 jabs will mean nothing if you don't fancy an 11th. Remember that. And remember this. If the state to put something doesn't set a precedent for, nothing that doesn't set a precedent for. And that will be used to kill you on your hill further down the line, whatever you feel is worth fighting for. People need to remember that. And that's why we need to come together now. It doesn't matter if you're jabbed or if you're not jabbed. We're all in the gun sites. If you're not in the 1%, you're on the list, mate. They're coming for all of us. So let's put down these manufactured fault lines and all this nonsense we argue about. We'll go back to arguing later, that's fine. But this is too important, and so we need to unite. And I'm seeing it happening around me all the time. I've got lots of friends, show off, they're at the same level as me. And I try not to laugh. It is hard not to laugh, to be fair. They said you needed 2, you complied. They said you needed a 3rd, you complied. And now the moronic variant has put you straight back to the start again. Do not pass go, do not collect your free burger and fries. But this is now a great opportunity for us to come together and build unity between people that have had it. Because they're slowly waking up. They're going, do you know what, I complied, I went along with it, the carrot and the stick. And I also get emails daily from doctors, nurses, police officers, teachers, funeral directors, who want to speak out and they tell me what's going on and what they're seeing, but they're too terrified to lose their job, which I get. Do you know what I mean? They've got kids to feed, they've got mortgages to pay. But in April, 100,000 approximately NHS staff are going to get sacked. And with one sweep of the pen, the government is unleashing tens of thousands of whistleblowers back into the community. Yay! That's April Fool's, that is. The government is building an army that will in the end lead to its downfall. It's building an army of people with nothing left to lose. And I don't know about you, but if I had to step in the ring against anyone, the one person I wouldn't want to fight is the one who's got nothing left to lose. And so this is a great opportunity for us to join forces and stand together. Because as I say, if we don't stand together now, our kids and our grandkids will never really know what freedom was, because it will be gone. So it's vital that we stand together now. But more importantly, we're going to win this. I don't have a single doubt in my mind. I've never had a single doubt in my mind that we're going to win this. We just need to stand together and stand firm, and we just need to be immovable. There's no word more powerful than the word no right now. If our stance is, I'm not going to comply, but if they make it difficult, then you may as well comply now, because they're going to turn the screw and they're going to make it dark. It's going to be a dark, dark winter. But it's always darkest before the dawn. And there's different people, different levels of people on the ladder of awakening. And I think it's really important for us to accept these people and help these people. Because if you've been on some kind of awakening journey, or you've seen this from the beginning, you're right up there on the ladder. So you can see everything. Kind of like me, but I suppose I can see all of you. Like that. But there's people that are a few rungs down. They've not quite got there yet. So they can't see everything. So instead of mocking those people, talk to those people, help those people, and bring them up and help them see. And for me, a real interesting part of that, I've been to lots of protests, obviously, over the last couple of years, and something that I see, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. And also, who are you to tell them what to do when you don't want to be told what to do? So I think that's really important, not to shout at people, but to embrace these people and bring them, because people are seeing it now. Like, I get messages all the time from old football mates going, this is weird, isn't it? There's another one dead. It's like, yeah, it is weird, isn't it? It is weird. But they're waking up. And so if we can join forces, we can stand firm, and we are going to win this. And I know I keep saying it, we're going to win this, but I think we need to keep that in the forefront of our minds. Even when we feel that all hope is lost, we're going to win this. Everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not yet the end. Thank you very much.
I'm loving it. I already feel that we're gonna win this. It's not just a cliche, we are gonna win this. All of us together. Right, I'm going to get on with it, and I'll speak at the end. Can I ask the vets to come up, please?
It's on Doesn't Matter News. .news.
Okay. UK, the Veterans of Purpose. Look at this. Ooh, I feel empowered now.
The last time I was in your
Right, so
we were getting called. They were called.
as everybody knows,
Far right from
our friend here, Anna the Bussier. Yeah, so
fascists. Crazy, yeah.
and then we've got some vets. Obviously, we've got a lot of vets. We've got a few vets that's going to speak, and then Anna's going to speak. So listen in, guys. So who's going first? AJ. AJ's coming on.
Get through.
Hello, York. You beautiful people. Guys, this is fantastic. I drove up here with a few of the guys in front of me. If you want a screen, I'm talking to thousands, I think, of beautiful beauties, all here today in the name and united in freedom. And I guess that's exactly what we're here for, exactly what we stand for, okay, and that's sovereignty. I wanted to talk to you today about the power of connection. Now, when I started my podcast, I had this really big goal of trying to positively impact over 1 million people within a year. I've easily done that within the space of a few months. So now I've hit my target and set it my sights firm on reaching 10 million people positively. But what I want to ask you guys, that if I can set a goal of positively impacting 10 million people, I ask all of you here today, when you leave, to go and positively impact just 10 people individually. Tell them what you know, tell them what you want for your future, tell them what future you want for your children, okay? And imagine the impact you can have if 10 people are positively impacted by each individual person right here, right now, okay? The ripple effect will be monumental, okay? And that's all we need to do. Love, empathy, compassion, okay, and the will to fight. That's all we need to do. Now, okay, can you hear me now? Okay. I joined the military in 2001, and one of the reasons why I joined was to make a difference, okay, and just one person, I just wanted to make a difference. And you don't have to join the military to make a difference. I was fortunate enough to serve with some of the most amazing brothers and sisters that you can imagine, serve with fantastic people like you see stood in front of me right now, and we were sent to places around the world to make a difference, to stand up for other people's freedoms. Now, it's unfortunate that our very own government that sent us to these places are trying their best to take these freedoms away. Very, very unfortunate to see. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. My grandfather, who was my best friend, was the second man to land on Juno Beach on the 6th of June 1944, 10 past 8 in the morning. Corporal Bob Roberts. I often asked my granddad, whilst I was serving in the forces, what he would say to his guys when they were fighting through France. Gentlemen, old, you will tell your grandchildren what you did here in the face of tyranny. When you grow old, you will tell your grandchildren what lives you saved, what difference you made, and how you stood up to evil, how you stood up to tyranny, and you said, no, we will not surrender. And I stand here before you today, shoulder to shoulder with every single one of you, as do the fine gentlemen and women standing in front of me here. We stand shoulder to shoulder in solidarity as we say, no, we will not surrender. Now please, I ask you, connect with every single person that's here, left, right, front and back. Connection is so important. We win this in numbers, ladies and gentlemen, and in numbers, we will win. Thank you.
Hi guys, the next back to speak is our friend Steve.
Oh yeah, I'll quit you.
Hi everyone. Well, hang on. This is my second first this week. He invited me onto his podcast.
I'm a man anyway.
Where do you live then?
Huh?
Where do you live?
No, you know. Oh, you tell all the accents.
Good?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh, the Midland.
Okay. Right.
Here today?
Yeah,
Well done.
To make you the legend.
Thank you very much.
like I said, I never thought I'd be stood here 2 years down the line speaking to... Hello? All right. See, amateurish. Right.
But nah.
That's thrown me completely. Another naked moment. I'll explain that. There's a thread to that.
That's my way of
Yeah,
saying
cheers.
because what you do.
Where was I?
All the trouble. It's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
I know we say a lot.
Oh, thank you very much. I know,
But
I much appreciate it.
once we do know,
All natural, yeah. So but the reason I did the podcast, and I think it was extremely important, is the title is, are the global elites, have they declared war on we the people? The podcast is extreme because I've threaded military activity and pieced it together over the last 2 years. And the reason for doing that was to try and assist people to look at this as a war. Now, the main reason, and the reason I actually thought this was a process that needed to be talked about, is when you know you're in a war, in a conflict, you can actually manage your expectations because you know at some point the war ends. And I can tell you, we are winning this war. So if you go back and look at the thread, the first day of the Ghislaine Maxwell case, the CEO of Twitter resigned, the CEO of CBN News resigned, and the CEO of Walmart resigned. These are events, since I've done the podcast, that you can add to the thread. And you can clearly see that we are in a war, and we are going to win this. Now, I've probably walked with most of you here through London since early last year. I was there in September last year, being fronted by the TSG. Probably some of you here were there. Now, I saw, because of our training and Northern Ireland training and riot training, that was a complete setup. There were crisis actors there and there were agitators there. That concerned me because I knew there was something being planned on the ground, and it was a direct attack on us, we the people. Now, the reason I've been active is because I have 6 children. I've got 4 children in their 20s and 2 under 10. Now, the one thing I'd like to actually discuss is the service of notices to the schools. I think it's very important. We've been extremely active in our county in Dorset. It's actually, to a degree, halted and paused the immunisation process for the 12 to 15-year-olds. I just found out this morning that and is obviously going to be. Yeah. Now, I do have a message that I want to put out, and it's mainly to the military, the police, and the medical services. Now, the reason for doing this, we all paid for your services.
Correct.
Every single one of us.
Public servants.
Now, since AJ kindly invited me on his podcast and is currently coaching me how to publicly speak, I am. Yeah. So the point I want to get across, and this is statistically based, I actually looked at a paper that Lee Merritt, a neurosurgeon, ex-US military, put out some statistics in September this year. Over a 30-year period, there were 317 cases of myocarditis within the US military. I'll say that again, 317 cases over a 30-year period. When that paper was written, that was in September, their rollout started in the January. So in 9 months within the US military, they had 1,113 cases of myocarditis. Now, my message is to the police, to the army, to the medical professionals that should be able to do the same research as we've all done over the last 2 years. Go back. If that is correct, bearing in mind 5 days ago, the government uplifted a new, a new paper onto the government website, stating a new adverse reaction to the rollout of the jabs, and that is myocarditis. So please, I'm urging every NCO, middle rank, high rank, please, you have a care of duty to your staff, to all of us, to do the right thing, and the only right thing to So I'll finish off there and I'll hand you to Craig.
Thank you. Hello, York. I just want to thank Anna for volunteering me to stand up here for the first. But I have a confession to make. It was me that volunteered Steve, because I was too chicken to do it first. When she asked me, the first thing that ran through my, well, actually I'm not going to tell you the first thing that ran through my mind, to be honest. The second thing that ran through my mind was, what am I going to talk about? And that first thing was money, finance and banking. And then I spoke to the guys and they went, nah, not really. But I do want to tell you just one thing very quickly. We've worked out what the banks are doing. And the banks, if you've got a mortgage or financing anything, they're lending you your own money. Right? And I can talk about that another time.
Anyway.
So I then sat there after the guys had gone, nah, don't want to talk about that. And went, what I want to talk about. And then, in great style, our government, who never stops giving, I saw that little clip from Javid, and he went, right, every 3 months, everyone's going to get a jab.
No, we're not.
Exactly. And I just thought to myself, right, that's probably just given us about another 500,000 people that are going to stand on the outside of the fence. I'll stand away from the speaker. So, my message is fairly short, and it really mimics what Gareth said a little while ago, and the other guys as well. We're going to have a lot of jabbed people that are no longer going to take any more. Because the first one works, right? Exactly. So we need to bear in mind that the numbers that we need, or that will help us win this, we need to be all-inclusive. And that does include helping the people that have been jabbed and no longer want to take it. Oh yeah, sorry. I've been just around the country that are independent of each other, and we've got a few that are, shall we say, stagnating under certain leadership. We'd like, leadership's probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean. We'd like to pull them all together. So a few of us have set up a website which is veteransforpurpose.org.uk. Sorry, I got it wrong. That's the pressure of being up here. Veteranswithpurpose.org.uk. So please come and join us. All right.
Veteranswithpurpose.org.uk. Did you get that, people?
Veteranswithpurpose.org.uk.
Get behind these guys.
So people like Steve that are quite active in getting stuff done, stopping the rollout of jabs in certain areas, are part of it. So come on board.
Fascists and all sorts of them.
My name's Mikey P. Can I hold your stick? No, you've got my shot.
I spoke to this
I
guy
like
in
to try and get
Newcastle.
different messages across, and a lot of people do. And everyone speaking always gives an amazing message. I like to try and just not teach us the right way. I don't like to tell people what you should do in any format. Because whether you're telling someone you should do that in a good way or a bad way, you're on the attack. What I've learned in my lesson is to turn my finger around and point that finger at myself. 18 months ago, I was alcohol dependent, and I ended up, I just wanted to be dead. I wanted to kill myself. And I feel I'm here for a reason. I had to lose everything to wake up.
Thanks, Rob,
and I landed on my spiritual path with a face plant, and then dived down that rabbit hole with no safety equipment. The reason I tell that story is quite simple. I've learned a lot of things on my lesson. If you get a piece of chalk and draw a circle around yourself, everything inside that circle is what's in your control. Everything. There's not really a great deal outside that circle that is in our control. All we can do. We can certainly influence people. So a lot of people try and change things by going on the attack and telling it's rather than doing that, it's become the best version of. And then when people see how happy you are, they ask why. And you tell them, pull up a sandbag and follow my steps. And they ask you to do that. So to bring that to current times, if you think about all these people running around with needles sticking out of every orifice, itching to get the next jab, all muzzled up to save the world, they're miserable as shit. You can watch them going round and they're just dead in their eyes, they're just miserable. And then you look at all you beautiful souls and you walk around and you're happy, you've got a bounce. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm drawn towards the happy people, the glowing people. And I'll talk to anybody that listens anyway. But I prefer to talk to the smiley happy people. So as time goes by and they become more and more miserable, as all their families and everyone else starts dropping dead around them, which is unfortunately what's going to happen, and they're going to be looking at us. We're not muzzled, we're in the parks playing, we're conversing with our friends, we're having a good time, and they're going to want a piece of that at some point. Now, this is where the next little thing I want to bang on about is the window of tolerance, because we all suffer frustration. We look at these muzzled up sheep, and we call them names, we call them idiots, and we can feel ourselves getting aggressive towards these people. It's the wrong thing to do, in my opinion. Because if you think about it, when it comes to fighting, if you get in a boxing ring, one person is throwing punches and the other one's defending. As soon as that one throwing punches stops, the other one starts throwing punches, and the initial person throwing punches is the one that starts defending. So it's no point getting in arguments with these people. You can't fight fire with fire, the fire gets bigger, and you can't fight hate with hate, the hate gets bigger. The best thing you can do is love thy neighbour. I think it's even in the Bible. Growling at you, calling you tinfoil hat wearers, anti-vaxxers, and all these other wonderful terminologies we get tagged with. Don't react to it. If you get angry at them, that's your fault. If you get happy, that's your fault. Whatever mood you're going through, that is your fault. We're in an era of awakening, and one of those responsibilities we have to do is pull up our big boy pants, put on our big girl knickers, and stand in our sovereign and take responsibility. And part of that responsibility is saying no, and not reacting to all the BS and all the hate coming our way. Yeah. Give them love back. Fight that hate with love. One of the other big lessons I've learned is refrain to be alive. This is going to be one big page in the history books, because it's the people that win the wars that write the history books. So guess what? We are going to be writing history books, and we are going to win this. And we're going to win this. I've got a little bit of homework for every single one of you when you go home, because we all think we ourselves. Now, it took a lot of people to tell me a lot of times that I lack self-compassion. But then I realised every time I made a mistake, I called myself horrible names. And after enough people told me I've got no self-compassion, I looked into it. And I didn't have self-compassion. So I've done a bit of work on that. And what I've realised on my journey is, it's not just about giving the love out. The more you love yourself internally, if you can find inner peace and pure inner love to yourself, everything that you reflect on that, everything that you give back out is love. And then when you're giving out love, guess what? You get it back tenfold. Yes! So really the key to this is hope. I think everyone turn around and give the person to your left a big hug.
But it's brilliant.
Well, you say peace, love and Lord.
These are amazing charities that are here for the greater good. If nothing else, everyone start connecting with them, connecting with all your networks, keep spreading that love, keep spreading the truth, and together we are one.
Surely Anne's going to talk. Is Anne going to speak?
Right, can we have a round of applause for our vets?
The People's Army. That's what they're creating. That's what we need.
Thanks, vets. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
There's Anne. Anne must be going to I keep buffering the thing. You YouTube won't be liking it, will they? Too much truth going on.
Does that tell you how to?
Shall we have fun, man?
These people here, it's horrendous on the other side of the coast.
Seaside. Well, further down there.
Rejoice, everybody. Blue skies. Well done, you all.
It's the forest.
Right, guys.
About an hour.
It is my honor, my privilege, my pleasure to introduce to you
Oh, you're right. Talk on your doorstep then.
Anna Rapousserin.
Hello everybody, thank you. What an amazing welcome from the north. The north
And the solicitor that's been working on
and just as well, right? Because we're in a serious problem. But before I launch into that, I'd just like to let you know a bit more about me, because when people are talking about me on social media, I realise there are certain things I haven't explained to people about why I'm standing up here. My father, aged 18, was sent to Berlin at the end of the war to release the prisoners of war. When I was a child, he took me around those prisoner of war camps. He made me march through the fields of the Somme. He made me go row upon row upon row of white crosses. An unknown soldier, 1914 to 1918. He reminded me that my great uncle William Harvey was one of the first into Gallipoli, along with his brother. There's a website dedicated to him. He's called the Anzac Hero. And there's a letter from him on the front line, which makes very heartbreaking reading. He delivers it very matter of fact. You know, here we are, we're doing our best. And then he talks about his friends and colleagues who have been blown to bits, will never be the same again. And he puts a brave face on and says, here we are, we'll carry on. My uncle of the French resistance, bless their hearts, and the Spanish resistance, and he made it back to England, but because he knew how awful it was in the prisoner of war camps, he went back out there for another pop. Whoa. Right? That's what we do for each other. We are brothers and sisters, we are all one humankind, and when tyranny and oppression starts to take over us, we must unite, and we must fight back, and we must never, ever forget what our ancestors did for us, so that we can stand here, paying them tribute, and determined to hold the baton in our hands, and carry on the fight, because we will not surrender, we will not back down. And do you know why? Because every single one of us is sovereign in our own right. We are all born free human beings. Nobody is in charge of us, right? We are all born with sovereign, inalienable, fundamental rights. They are God-given, right? And in this Constitution, we are a Christian nation by law. So before the Romans came along, we were upholding the Old Testament. And Exodus chapter 20 specifically says, thou shalt not kill. Right? We all know that one. Thou shalt not kill. And then when Jesus came along and we became a Christian country, we upheld the New Testament as well as the Old Testament. And then we had a whole body of laws. One of the most fundamental one is, first, do no harm. Right? Absolute principle law. Do no harm to your neighbour or each other or yourself. The second one is, because you have an inalienable right to life, you are sovereign over your own mind and body. You have bodily integrity that nobody gets to breach. And your right to life, nobody can take that apart from in two circumstances. One is if there's been a judgment by a court properly convened and you're judged by your peers, by a jury, and they're found guilty and a death sentence is passed down. That can be legal. The other time it's legal is between armed combatants, where they are both armed and it's a fair fight. And even then you don't get to kill each other. The aim is to disable each other. Right? So if you kill someone, even in war, you can be held up in a court tribunal in martial arts. In a martial arts competition. That sounds guilty. But you know, it's murder. It's still murder unless you've got a lawful excuse. So I want everybody to understand that, because when you look at our own constitution, imprisoned, outlawed, exiled, killed, or in other ways destroyed. Now the reason that that's so important in this country is because the 1297 Magna Carta is a legally binding contract between the Crown and we the people. The Constitution is the solution, you're right. Well, God's the solution, actually, in my view, but the Constitution represents God's view on earth, if we get the laws right. So, anyway, the Magna Carta is a binding contract between the Crown and we the people. And incidentally, our ancestors paid a 50th of their movables for that contract. So it's a legally binding one with due consideration. And it binds all the Crown's heirs and successors in perpetuity. And it's been granted to us and our successors in perpetuity. And that deal is sworn as an oath by the monarch to us, a three-part oath. The first part of the oath is that they will uphold our laws as consented upon in Parliament. So the laws that must be upheld in accordance with the coronation oath is our common law, our customs and usages, the acts of Parliament that have been consented to, and God's laws in accordance with the Old and New Testament. Obviously we now have it European and international law as well. The middle part is that judgment shall not be denied to any person, and mercy will be overseen in all judgments. The third part is that the Church has inviolable rights and privileges, and those must be upheld. Now the monarch has to swear that oath to we the people, and indeed has done so for around 2,000 years. Because that's the deal. The law maketh the king, not the king maketh the law. Right? The king is put there because we put them there. We are sovereign. Yes. These are our laws. This is our land. And incidentally, just a personal aside, I'm 74% English, 15% Scottish, 5% Irish, and 3% Welsh, and only 6% Northern German, European, whatever bit. But anyway, so this is my land, and I'm sure it's your land, and these are our laws. Oaths being upheld. No! Who's responsible for that? Because I tell you what, Our Majesty, bless her, is a 95-year-old woman. She's delegated that responsibility to her Crown agents. These guys over there, and others. So if they are in breach of their coronation oath, they are putting our Queen's oath in jeopardy. That's our Queen's soul that they're talking about. Right? And in the meantime, we've allowed that situation to happen because the deal is that the monarch will make sure that all the agents will comply with the law. And that is also in the Magna Carta. In the general saving provisions at the back of it, you will see that the monarch orders all of his men to treat everybody the same and to uphold all the laws. Once again, it was in breach of the coronation oath. So we petitioned the monarch, and this is something that I want to raise with you, because that is one of our ways of getting this situation redressed, is that we submit a petition to the Crown to say our laws are being broken, they must be upheld. That's what we had to do in 1627 with the Petition of Right. You can find that and the Magna Carta on www.legislation.gov.uk. They're on our statute books, but search them and read them. Because what came out of the 1627 Petition of Right was that our monarch continued to ignore our rights. And in 1641, a civil war broke out that killed 1 in 10 people. And we fought a very bitter war for 6 years. And at the end of that war, the king was tried and was found guilty of treason because he was trying to hire foreign armies to come in and help him fight against his own people. So then we had a period without a monarch, and in 1688, when the next monarch came to the throne, we said, you are not going to ascend to the throne unless you again agree to uphold all our rights. And we issued another Declaration of our Rights, the Bill of Rights 1688. Forward to the Second World War, and I don't know how many of you actually know what happened, because one of the due diligences that I'm doing is finding out how much people know about the law and their history in the Constitution. And I'm absolutely mortified and horrified to find out that most people don't know about the Nuremberg trials that were brought by the lawyers at the end of the war. And they don't know the significance of them, and they seem to have forgotten them. And I promised my family I would never let people forget. So what happened at the end of the Second World War was that when people like my father went to release the prisoners of war, they found the most horrific time had ever happened in the history of humanity. And in particular, what was happening was that medical treatment and medical experimentation was being conducted on people without their consent. Horrific experiments, including, for example, a typhoid vaccine, right, that was given to people without their consent. People were put in freezing cold tanks of water until they died. People had, I won't go into it. But anyway, at the end of that, the criminals were brought to trial, and there were the various different cases, including the medical cases. Now what happened with the medical cases is that doctors and nurses who were experimenting on people were placed. You don't get to derogate from somebody's right to life. You don't get to breach their bodily integrity. Everyone is sovereign, and they are not armed combatants in the field. So anything you do that derogates the right to life is potential murder, grievous bodily harm, assault. Because regardless of the situation, criminal law applies. So at the end of that, various doctors and nurses unfortunately lost their lives because they were found guilty. Now what came out of that was 10 principles called the Nuremberg Code. And that first one of those principles says the voluntary consent of the live human subject is essential. And that means that they have to be informed of what's going to happen to them, what risks, what benefits, what the long-term consequences are to them. And if they don't consent, then you can't give them that treatment. If you force it on them, then that is a criminal act. If you force it on lots of people, then that becomes crimes against humanity and genocide. So what we have here currently is members of our own community forcing experimental medical treatment on others. The masks are experimental. There's 123 years worth of scientific research that I myself have read through, which proves that they've known for 123 years that these masks cause harm. The main cause of death in the Spanish flu was from secondary bacterial pneumonia. It wasn't a flu. Okay? The tests, they are also experimental. They are also causing harm. And we know about these injections. These are killing people across the world. I am getting the most horrendous evidence being given to me. A physician phoned me up on Wednesday. He spent 3 hours on the phone to me, telling me what was happening to his so-called vaccinated patients. Horrendous. I won't go into it here. I'm afraid it's too upsetting. But the fact is,
that the doctors and the scientists who have done their due diligence, who have looked at the blood work of their patients, who have done post-mortems, who have followed up the injuries, they are calling this murder. They are calling it murder. And it is because under our law, under the Offences Against the Person Act, if you inflict bodily injury on another person, that is only lawful if they have consented freely, without coercion, without sanctions, without the threat of the loss of their jobs. They have to consent freely. And in our law, you can't consent to being murdered, and you can't consent to grievous bodily harm. What you can consent to is they're assaulting you for the purposes of a substance, but it won't harm you, it's perfectly safe, it's effective, and there's going to be no long-term consequences, and you say yes to that assault. That's only lawful if they've actually told you all the information. If they've obtained your consent on a whole bunch of lies, they have just assaulted you, they have battered you. If you then suffer harm or die of serious injury, that's grievous bodily harm, and it's murder. And do you know why? Because the moment you stick someone with a needle, you've intended to do that. It wasn't an accident. So you had the necessary intent. If you don't obtain lawful consent, then that is a criminal act for which you will be held personally, criminally liable, as were those doctors and nurses in the Nuremberg trials. So that's where we are, folks. And what we want to do as veterans, and what we have been doing, is helping local communities find out who are perpetrating these crimes in the community, serving them with a notice of liability. And the notice of liability says you will be held civilly and criminally liable for all your actions and omissions, because omitting to act is as guilty as acting to cause harm. So if you stand by and ignore it all, you're as guilty. Thank you. Say it again. Omitting to act in this country under the law, omitting to act is as guilty as acting to cause harm. You don't get to look the other way. So what we have are members of our own society committing these grievous, experiments on people. And that actually amounts to a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions as well. This is an unlawful act of war being committed by members of our own society on others. So the way we're going to deal with this lawfully and peacefully, find out who the perpetrators are, find out who the aiders and abettors are, find out who the complicit are, serve them with a notice of liability, and if they do not stop, these are the people we are going to be bringing to trial. Yeah! So we've already managed to get a couple of crime references, because these have been reported to the police, and thankfully some decent police are doing their job as public servants and actually investigating. So we now have crime references. Coerced into taking it because he was told he couldn't travel on the train to get to work unless he did. He's dead. So what happened there was that the locals had put lots of affidavit evidence to the police, and the police had refused to investigate. So they are defendants in the murder charge now as well. So what we're doing is we're inviting you all, when you find out who's committing these crimes, to serve a notice on them, because the notice includes lots of evidence as well, and you serve that with your affidavit of truth, which is simply a statement saying, here is my evidence of the harm that's been caused to me or my family or somebody I know, here's the law that you're breaking, here's the evidence, investigate it, and I'm giving you that as my statement of truth to the best of my knowledge and belief, so help me God. Now the advantage of that is that any police who refuse to take a legal affidavit of evidence, you then serve a notice on them, because then they are now aiding and abetting and complicit. So once we get these people done, we can then start the trials. Now people are asking, when are these Nuremberg 2 trials going to happen? And unfortunately what we have is a situation that unless the police start cooperating with us, Unfortunately, people are taking it into their own hands and affecting citizens' arrests. But you've still got to take these people somewhere and have them detained and charge them. So at this point, I need you all to engage with your local police and help them to understand what's going on. We must get them stopped. People are being killed. So, are you on for doing that? Are you? The veteransforpurpose.org.uk. There's a whole team of people now, lawyers and all sorts of people, who are waiting to hear from you with your... I'm being told something, yes? Hang on, Pete will tell you, because he is actually the one who created the website.
Hi everybody, I'm not really good at doing this kind of thing, but we have two charities that we're setting up. One is veteransofpurpose.org.uk, and that is about uniting veterans, helping them to, with all the effects that have been going on, helping veterans to find their purpose. And I'm not only talking about army veterans, I'm talking about police, paramedics, doctors. All of those are welcome to come, because we're all uniting, and there's a lot of people realizing that people have been misled, and we all know that. But what Anna was talking about gathering that evidence, we've also set up another site, which is forourkids.org.uk. Now on that site, you can actually submit evidence. If you know of anyone who's been injured or harmed due to this, you can submit that evidence to us directly on that portal, and that helps us to then take that further. On there you will also find an affidavit letter, which you can fill out and sign and send to us. Because the more of these affidavits that we get from the people, we can then use those to take further action, lawfully and legally. But we need your help to do it. We can't do it, on our own. Okay, because all of you, if you think about why we're here for our future, and we're here for our kids. And we do not want this to harm one more person. But all of you have got to help.
Bit of an issue in the crowd there, don't want Mary Steele to talk, apparently.
Love you all.
Right, I'll just wrap up then, everyone. So, just to remind...
They're trying to stop me speak. These people here. They're trying to stop me speak.
You're not going to make that. You see this? They're trying to stop me speak. They don't want me speaking. Mark! Not doing that. Mark! No. You just took it off a woman, man! Hey! Yeah, exactly. Mark! Give it back now! Guys, can you calm down? Give it back! Give it back!
What I just want you to do, everybody, is please stand in your
There was a little bit of hoo-ha in the crowd there saying don't let him speak. So it's obviously got the umbrage about it. Well, they were saying don't let him speak, that's why, and then he's marched up and took it off Anna, but that was a bit rude, wasn't it? No, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do it, no.
Yeah, I'm from Monday, yeah.
We usually just go across it, but I've got nurses over there as well, so
because what it is, I'm parked on the signs which and they only get 2 hours straight, so I've got to do a bloody floddy stay up. Free 20.
on.
Oh,
No, thanks for the gesture. I really
Sorry, everybody's a positive day. We need a few words. Just say one.
I know. Let's get it resolved. Let's
calm down.
bring some.
Calm down. What's the message today? Unity, brotherhood, togetherness. No, Mark, please, Mark. I don't want this. I want unity. Right. Do you guys want to hear Mark speak? Wait a minute. Hands up if you want to see Mark, if you want to hear Mark speak. Right, Mark, I'm sorry, there's not enough hands. Right, Mark, there's going to be an open mic here. Mark, when we come back after the march, there's open mic. Whoever wants to speak will speak. Whoever wants to listen can listen. We're not having this. We're not having disunity. This is not about who's right, who's wrong. They're a shill, he's a shill. They're a Freemason. We've got to put this to bed. We've got to start giving unity. If we are not, hold on. Right, if we are not united, guys, can you all hear me? Can you hear me at the back? Can you hear me?
Oh, it's
right. If we are not united, it's game over. We perish. All of us perish. Our children perish. Our grandkids perish.
This is just a contact point. Can you bend the ball? And look for the close three red dots.
Who's Andrew Livingston? Oh, that's you. All right. And he's called Junaid.
Okay, so Jessica's going to speak now.
Thank you. Oh, good. It's just so I'm on live and I'm hoping that people have caught that. I know, bless it.
Look at all these people! Look at all these... Stand together! Stand together!
Are you ready?
Right, guys, can you hear me?
Let's get rolling now. Yeah. Max, there's not going to get any fans by doing that sort of thing, is he?
Right, guys. Bloody hell, that was a bit of drama, wasn't it? It's about these being ready. There's always a bit of drama. Will it be ready? Right, that's better. Hi guys, I'm Chesky here. It wouldn't be a rally without a bit of drama. So let's try and get this show back on the road. Right. Alright guys, so I'm going to try and be as loud as possible. Oh, okay. This is better. Alright guys, there was a bit of drama already. It always happens. Now let's stay focused. Right guys, so it is wonderful to be in York today. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Right, so I'll make this quick so we can go and march soon. Alright guys, I'll make this quick. So I run Outreach Worldwide. And the reason why I'm here today is to encourage every single one of you to get out in your local community. One conversation can change a life. What we have been doing, we have been going to schools and we have been talking to head teachers. Sing our style, 7 schools.
Yeah.
Is wrong. I won't exactly fuck Boris Johnson. I remember one day in March 2020 that I'm gonna leave the house. My son went out playing football and he nearly got arrested just for playing football. This is absolutely disgusting and we've got to rise up against this. So I'm encouraging every single person here, if you want to play a local group, to contact Outreach Worldwide and to form a local group. This is one of the best forms of resistance we can have. And we've got one message to the UK government today. Vaccinations for children ASAP, because this is wrong and it's happening. We will never stop, we will never stop protesting. And we must be absolutely accurate to contact us. Everybody out there who's been in the past, if you want help turning your group into an Outreach Worldwide group, so you do a stand on a Sunday and an outreach on a Saturday. We're encouraging you to get out there on the high street every single Saturday and empower your local community. I just want to thank you all for coming today. I won't say too much more because that was a lot. Let's support us, guys. And to anyone who can Worldwide group, God bless you guys.
The nurse is still around that you want about. The nurse is still around that you want about.
Let's go, come on! Let's get this crowd!
Right, can everybody come down, please? Can everybody come down? Everybody come down! Everybody come down from the steps! Please, everybody come down from the steps!
Poor guy nearly had a panic attack. He was having a heart palpitation. Mark Steele.
Right, can I ask everybody on here, on the steps, to come down, please? Mark, please. Mark, please.
Yeah.
Mark, please. Right. Right, I'm gonna have 2 minutes of your time, guys, that's all. Right, I'm calm. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Right, just some of you might not know, I had a heart attack in April. The hospital kicked me out because I would refuse the swab test. My doctors kicked me out of the surgery because I would wear a mask. I'm not receiving any treatment, any medical help, intervention whatsoever. I am here. I am here by the grace of God. I want to read something to you. A very special friend of mine sent to me this morning. True demonstration is demonstrating spirit of mine own self. I can do nothing. Nothing. It's him. It's him. I love. And I have my being. Are they in division or unity? Are you in division or unity? Are you in division or unity? Unity! 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 We are leading people into life, being light beings. Leading those into a higher integrity. A higher integrity. We are showing them how to be human beings. Human beings. I want to thank all the veterans, all the speakers, everybody that's attended. Anna, please accept my sincere apologies. And it won't happen again. I'm really sorry. Right now, what we're going to do. Everybody's talked about unity, togetherness, spirituality, love, all these things that we are going to need now going forward to fight this battle. Yes? Yes. So let's support
the organisations, the people such as Anna, such as Professor Cahill, Dr. Mike Eden, Dr. Coleman, whoever needs our support, we'll support them. And there's too many people saying things like, oh, nothing's going to happen, it's all useless, there's no point to this, there's no point to that. There's a point to everything. There's a point to protesting. All the people that are my friends for the last 2 years, I have met, I protest each and every one of you. I have got so many friends here that I know personally, and they are not my friends, they are my brothers and my sisters, and I love you all for speaking up, for protecting, speaking up and fighting for my kids as I fight for your kids. Yes, yes, yes. They're going out. They're going out now, we're having a match. Let's start off. Forget what's happened. Listen to the speakers. Positivity. And we're going to set off with a positive frame of mind. I'm going to hand over to Nick.
Come on, give me an arm more. As long as that. Come on. We're not here to cause panic. We're here to spread love. I love you guys. Yeah? Make sure you get your dancing shoes on because we're going to be dancing and marching, yeah? This man's going to let you know now.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Right, guys, apologies about all the hiccups. We are going to start moving in a minute. The veterans are going to go over there and we're going to follow the veterans through the city. We're going to wake people up. We're going to engage with the public. And we are going to win this war, so come on guys, get yourselves together. There'll be more speakers at the end once we're back here, and then anyone who wants to speak can speak. Okay? Come on guys.
Today, we'll see you back here at Jam for Freedom. Check us out at jamforfreedom.com if you want to see
Everyone's just going down the march. There's quite a lot of people. Don't think you really appreciate how many people. Should we get up on the front?
You're on that one, you're on that one.
I can see them.
I mean, if they're not good around, police are supposed to investigate crime. It's £35 million fraud by Boris Johnson to bring PPE into the country. He has been actually outside. In the problem, when he just
Yeah, no, there's not much police. There's a few vans down there, a few dotted about, but on the whole, it may have something to do with the amount of veterans that are here, maybe. Have you ladies lost your jobs because of the...
No, not yet, but we will do.
Right.
In April, well, that's what we think is going to happen. Our managers haven't told us anything different, so we assume that we are. We've been told we have to have the vaccine by the 3rd of February.
Right.
And the first one, in order to be fully vaccinated by the beginning of April, but they haven't said what will happen to us if we don't.
Right.
So we're just going to wait and see.
So they're just going to try and worry everybody into it?
Yeah, I think so,
And
yeah.
those that are left may get away with it, may not?
May not, I shall see. I've come this far, I'm not prepared to back down now.
Absolutely. Your body, your choice, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I think hopefully by the time that comes around, we might have made some headway with it all.
I hope so, definitely.
Well, good luck with it all.
Thank you. I hope it works in my favour anyway.
Well, so
If not, I'll just go back at Aldi or something like that.
Oh, proper good job. You got a grab for it, haven't you?
yes, so we're just walking through the streets of York, Westminster at the moment. Quite a good crowd, I guess that's the police getting everybody's face. No, but it was all caught on camera.
I'll tell you what, you were all trying
There's not much police here, is there? Really?
I want to do I'm off.
GB News is here.